Hey everybody, it's Jim Johnson here, the head coach at Contractor Coach Pro and your host with Contractor Radio. Contractor Radio is all about helping contractors get better at their business so they can position themselves to work on their business instead of in their business. And we help you with your execution, we help you with strategy, we help you with tactics, and we hope that we're a bit entertaining. Today's guest is all of that, entertaining by leaps and bounds. He has done some pretty amazing things. He's been the owner of 14 businesses. He's got a $70+ million business. He has the Home Service Expert podcast, and he's also the author of The Home Service Millionaire. We're going to bring him on here in just a couple of seconds, but first we need to get a word from one of our sponsors because, we got those bills to pay.
Who doesn't love getting more referrals? GTR will make your referral game stronger than ever with our 4-step process. First, engage with customers through job status updates and push notifications. Then, motivate your advocates to send referrals and earn rewards. Third, track and manage all of your results through your company's dashboard. And finally, sit back and enjoy achieving up to 40 times ROI. GTR is the #1 referral platform for contractors, so book your demo today at getthereferral.com.
So if you guys haven't heard of Get the Referral before, these guys are amazing at helping you streamline your ability to get referrals, get more referrals, and offer incentive to those referrals, all through technology, making it super easy to track. So go out and check out Get the Referral. So without any further ado, I want to bring on one of our other special guests today. We got Chuck Thokey, our sales here at Contractor Coach Pro. Hey, Chuck, good to have you on board today. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a great month.
You excited about this guest we've got?
I am. Just hearing about him, talking to him just a few minutes ago. I mean, it's going to be exciting to hear.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. So everybody, what we do here is we try to bring in guests that are going to help you get into a position of working on your business instead of in your business every day. Now, that doesn't mean we don't still do work in our business. We just do work that's a little bit different. And this guy has proven to be able to do that quite well. He has a pretty big following out there in the social media world. And I want to welcome in the guru of garage doors, Tommy Mello. Tommy, how you doing, man?
Good. Excited to be here. Appreciate being on your show today.
Yeah, it's good to have you. You were kind enough to have me on your podcast a few weeks ago, and we had a blast. Kind of went long for you, I think. But we really engaged quite well. And I was like, man, if I can get this guy on, I would love to have him on Contractor Radio. So thanks for taking some time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy. And thanks for being on the show.
Excited to be here, man. This will be fun.
So just so everybody kind of gets the quick run up of who you are and what you do. You own A1 Garage Doors. You owner of 14 businesses. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then this Home Service Expert podcast, which I was on, which was really good. And then this book, like, is that book a big thing for you?
I wrote it a little over 2 years ago, and it was one of those passion deals where it took a long, long time. So yeah, I put a lot of time into it, and I got done with it, and I said it's not good enough. So I got 12 co-authors to contribute to it, and it made it a hell of a lot better. So yeah.
So I was reading your bio, and you started out $50,000 in debt, and now we're budgeted for $74 million. Probably going to do somewhere around $100 million through acquisitions and stuff. What happened, and how long did that happen?
Well, I got into the business in 2007. Actually, a buddy of mine asked me if I knew how to paint garage doors, and at the time I had a landscaping business and I was bartending, and I could do anything to make a buck. I always had money. I would buy Bowflexes on Craigslist and sell them in Arizona Republic. I flipped over 300 Bowflexes, and then I started doing it with total gyms, and then I said, okay, let's do it with cars. And I was always really busy, and I knew how to make a lot of money. But when I went on vacation, I spent it and no longer made it. So I said, I got to figure out something to create true wealth and make money while I sleep. So I started painting garage doors. Then I got in the garage door industry with a partner. And what I was the storyboard of working in the business all the time. I had no idea what I was doing. I literally remember my first thing was Valpak and Yellow Book in 2006 and 2007. And this is right as Yellow Pages were dying. Then we hit the crash, the real estate market crash. So I'm glad I went through that. I'm glad I learned the hard way. I put more sweat equity into the business. I didn't have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to put in it, although I was making great money and I just jumping it in there. And then I remember one day my CPA told me, he goes, Tommy, I want you to read this book. I think it'll really help you. And I had no business having this guy as my CPA. He only had 10 clients, and he took me on as just more of a help case because I knew his buddy. And so he handed me the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, who I actually had on my podcast. I actually had him in this building. And then I went back to him. I said, dude, this is amazing. What else? And then he handed me The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. And then he handed me The Richest Man in Babylon. And then it kept going and going. And now you can see that, I got a PhD. I'm poor, hungry, and determined. So I think that's what got me through a lot of this stuff.
Love it.
That's fantastic. We have a lot in common because I've got a bookcase sitting right over here that looks a lot like yours. And that's where I've gotten most of what I need. And most people, really and truthfully, as entrepreneurs, if they'll take the time to invest in reading and applying what they read, they can be pretty successful. Now, have you gotten any coaching or anything like that along the way? Have you ever brought anybody in to like help with sales or marketing or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I've brought the first real coach I had was Al Levy, the 7-Power contractor. Really came on several years ago and helped me get manuals and an org chart and a mission and vision and really keep my eye on the ball. And really, we created manuals and KPIs and went through, and that was the first big help. Lots and lots of books. And then recently I had a guy named Joe Crisara, and they call him Uncle Joe. He's a hell of a sales coach. He's produced about $10 million plus guys in the HVAC industry. What I learned from him was I was doing a lot of this stuff already. It just didn't have a formal name. But really what it's about is relationship building and becoming a friend. And we talk a lot about this, but really creating that magic moment with the client and asking a lot of questions. And I always return questions with the questions. Oh, really? What makes you ask that? And then smile. I teach my guys and pump up the guys. Like the thing is like, get them excited. Figure out in their life what's going to help them win the game of life with their family and correlate the same things to work. So figure out their why, peel the onion, 5 whys. And I'll tell you what I love. I love sales. The only thing I love more than sales is marketing, but those are my two babies. So
Chuck's our sales coach here at Contractor Coach Pro. And like I told you before, he helped build a $150 million roofing company, sales organization, sales leader, sales trainer, coach, like guru of sales in our industry. Chuck, you got any questions for Tommy here on like what are the stuff he learned and what are some of the keys to them being successful in sales out there?
Yeah, Tommy, I could sit here and take notes. I mean, I love the question with the question. We a lot of times we call that reversing. A lot of times you can do that to regain control, which is phenomenal. We teach the exact same thing of that's a great question. Why do you ask? Which is always a great reverse. That's fantastic. When you say that, that magic moment, can you expound a little bit on that? I'm interested in how you get that magic moment with the homeowner.
Well, I train my guys. There's a few things we have to do. Number one is I say, look, when you walk into the doctor's office, the first thing you're going to do is fill out a lot of paperwork. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to stand on a scale. They're going to weigh you. Then they're going to check your height. Then they're going to check your blood pressure. Then the first thing the doctor is going to do after you wait for the half hour, I never understood that. But they walk in and they say, hey, Tommy, how are you today? Oh, pretty good, pretty good. So what's the diet like? And you don't have to fool me. And so they're going to ask a lot of questions and they're going to get to know me a little bit. Do you smoke cigarettes? No, I don't. Do you drink? Yes, on the weekends. How much do you drink? They're going to diagnose the person before the problem. So what I do is I say, this is a beautiful house, Mr. Chuck. How long have you lived here? And then I walk in and I'm like, I'm not a thief, but I'm eyeing the place to find out what I have in common with you. If you got a thermostat that's a Nest, I know you're into home automation. I'm going to talk about our new opener that's got the home automation. I'm going to play with your dog. I'm going to walk in your car and say, your garage and say, oh my gosh, what year Harley is that? And we're going to find something that we can bond with. Then a lot of guys walk in and they say, I know what's broken. I figured it out. And I say, tell me what's going on with the garage door. Tell me, when was the last time you had it looked at? And then we're going to spend most of the time talking about your Harley. And then if you love it and you're like, dude, you got to check this out. and you're showing me pictures, I'm not going to pretend I'm somebody I'm not, but I'm going to find something. The garage door in the garage is the pastime. You're going to have, especially a man, but a woman has arts and crafts and whatever holiday stuff. But it's so easy to bond in the garage, especially in Arizona, because we don't have basements. So I try to find that magic moment, and I'll talk about family, occupation, recreation, or material things is usually we call it form. So that's where we really build we try to build a lot of rapport, and then a lot of education happens at that point. So that's the magic moments. And I think it's important you can look in their eyes. If I'm like, oh my God, how old's your dog? The person's like, well, he's 3. That's probably not the magic moment you were going for.
Yeah, but
like so many sales reps want to be the hero, but they forget the fact that they need to be a friend before the hero comes out. So it's awesome.
yeah, I always try to position that customer, the homeowner, as the hero. Like that's
I agree.
Like, how do I make this person the hero? And one of the things I noticed about you is you engage them with the question, right? And if you're talking about that Harley, you're probably not just saying, hey, that's a nice Harley. Man, that's a cool paint job. Is that custom? And you're digging into it because you noticed there was a reaction, a visceral, emotional reaction to your question versus the dog. Oh, he's 3. Okay, we're not talking about the dog anymore, right? You would love my garage. I've got like high-rise racking and everything with all of my stuff perfectly organized and all. It really drives me crazy to have anything messy. The workbench, I got the kegerator and all that stuff. Like the man's place is in the garage a lot of the time.
Yep.
Smokers and all kinds of stuff out there. I feel like I would probably be a laydown for you if you came to my house and tried to sell me a garage door, because you'd have all kinds of stuff to talk about.
Well, that, and then I try to diagnose the person is, what do you care about? Do you care about your energy bill? I'm looking to see if you got a big blue garbage can next to a regular garbage can, because I know you're recycling. And do you care about the environment? And then I'm going to say, most people don't know this, but 40% of your home's curb appeal is your garage. And here's the thing, is Remodel Magazine came out 3 years in a row, and the best ROI, more than your bathrooms or kitchen, is your garage. It has the number 100% return on investment. And then here's the last thing, is I trademarked this phrase, is the garage door is the smile of your home. And so people dig it. And I'll tell you another quick thing is this book right here. It's called Maximum Influence. If you guys haven't read this book, it's a great one. It's got these things in there that a lot of salespeople say that I just, instead of saying contract, say agreement. Instead of saying sign here, you say, okay, the paperwork. Instead of saying cancellation, say the right of rescission. Instead of saying salesperson, say business consultant. Commission is fees for service. Cost is investment. And it just keeps going on. So really training your guys. But the words don't matter as much as the eye contact, body language, and tonality is really what we teach here. We've got a whole school. We've got 25 guys here training, and we spend about 10% on the technical side, 10% on the operational. The rest is look me in the eyes. We're going to do a lot of role play. We're going to do a lot of scenarios. And I'm going to learn. We're going to teach you. We're going to talk about NLP. We're going to talk about eye contact. We're going to talk about smiling. We're going to talk about, I don't like rebuttals. I just want to look, what should we do? We're here. What should we do? Yes, I have other options. What should we do?
Do you have a system to your sales? Like there's the
8-step sales process. Yep.
Okay. So 8, 7, 10, whatever steps. So you have one, you guys are all trained to it. They know exactly where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there.
The most beautiful thing about it is I get the guys at the front of the room when they hit a successful day or a successful week. I just got a text message, and I love hearing amazing things, especially the breakthroughs. And I get them up front, and I go, I'm just going to use a name, Steve, tell me what happened? How were you so successful this week? And they go, you know what? You're not going to believe it, but I followed the process. But the weird thing is all I had to do is what you always talk about. All I had to do was ask. I go, what are my favorite 3 letters? ASK. All you got to do is ask. Half of you are afraid because of your internal objections to ask for the sale. But you know what? You weren't able to ask that girl to the prom. I followed one of my buddies out one day that he's very good with the ladies. And I wanted to figure out what his secret was. And I said, dude, what is this guy's deal? How does he, there's something going on. And I watched him approach these girls, and we were at a bar. And he started laughing with them. He was talking with them. And then all of a sudden he waved and went to the next group of girls. And this happened 3 times. So he finally landed one. But what I realized is it was just a numbers game with him. He didn't have any fear of rejection. And that's where I think a lot of salespeople go wrong, is we're afraid of the no. I love to get the no, because then I could actually isolate the objection and figure out maybe it's a finance opportunity. But whatever it is, I'd rather have a no than a maybe. And I want to peel it back. One of the things that Joe Crisara talks about, is never, ever, ever say, I'll call you and we'll follow up if they say I'm not sure yet. You should book that next appointment, or you should take back your quote. And I think it's the ability to follow up is a lost art in sales now. And being the best at follow up and setting the next appointment is 20% of your sales are left on the table most of the time for most companies.
I couldn't agree more. I think we get so caught up with I got to close this deal today, the one call hard close, that kind of a vibe to it, which, hey, I don't want to waste time. And if I can get this done today, I want to do it today. I'm going to go through all the objections. But when it doesn't happen, there needs to be a next step of some type or another. And I would rather have that no and just tell me go away than to have a maybe, or I need to think about it, or any of that kind of stuff where it's kind of left in the wind. But if it is that situation, I'm going to set that next appointment, whatever that is. Okay, you need some time to think about it. When is that? Do you need an hour? Do you need 24 hours? Do you need 3 days? What is it? Okay, it's that long? Great. So should we set a time at this time to meet and finish up this paperwork? And they go, yeah or no. Because that no that I'm looking for is the no that tells me, hey, I'm quit focusing here and go to the next one that is going to be something that's going to be a sale. Do you guys follow anything similar to that type of approach?
You know, it's a great follow-up. I typically say if you can't close the deal there, I'm a man of, I like focus. I like to have one person that specializes in it. So I've got a dedicated team that do follow-up because that's their whole job. I believe a lot in Henry Ford's theory of the assembly line and having one specialist that does it better than anybody. And so I've really specialized in everything we do in the company. And I'll tell you what, I on the podcast, I've learned a lot. And I see a lot of guys that I do 30% commercial, 40% residential, and 30% new construction. And I think that's the biggest mistake I see in a lot of companies, is because we love the shiny ball of money. And we say, I'll figure it out. I'll figure out a way to do it. And I go, wait a minute. It's a completely different truck setup, completely different pay structure, different accounting. It's AR, different insurance, different, complete everything. Why? Why are you only 5 people and do a little bit of it all? And they say, well, I'm making money. I go, are you? Show me. Show me your books. Show me your booking rate. Show me your average ticket. Show me your conversion rate. Do you have any idea what these numbers even are? And most of the time they don't. They go, I think, Tom, it's funny. Me and my wife answer the phones. We're around 90%. Around 90%. Really? No, you're not. Oh, you don't book that call? You don't book it because it's out of the service area? We'll count that against you, because you should probably dig into why you're getting calls out of your service area. I mean, I do this stuff all the time, and I'm just like, I'm not upset. I'm not pissed off with these, a lot of these business owners. I just ask why. Why don't you measure this? Well, it's not that easy, and those CRMs are crazy expensive. They're less than 1% of your total revenue, and they'll literally tell you where your weaknesses are that you could fix.
They absolutely will earn you your money. Chuck, I know we've only got you for a couple more minutes here. You got another question you want to give Tommy before you go?
Man, not so much a question, but I was so excited about you coming on. I asked Jim to be a part of this. I'm glad that I got a chance to meet with you. I can't wait to hear more. I'm going to go out and buy your book.
Hey, Chuck, look, give me one tip before you leave. I come here to learn as well. What's the big sales tip? If you had to give one thing to a pretty experienced sales team, maybe something that's left on the table, something that we're not getting, what would it be?
I'll tell you that one of the biggest things that's left on or not done inside a home improvement is rehash. And I know you mentioned about sales reps following up. A lot of times, inside of a lot of these sales reps is they just don't have what it takes to follow up. They're great in the house, but when it comes to follow up, I don't know if it's ADD kicking in or what. The companies themselves need to take and really wring that towel and take it into their own hands and understand a good rehash program.
I love it. These are these little gold nuggets could literally be the difference of hitting 15 to 20% profit or hitting 7. I find a lot of companies that are under 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chuck, we'll have to connect. Where are you located?
I'm in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm from Michigan. I go there a couple times a year. I always try to make it to Cedar Point every now and then. So if I get out that way, I'll come say hi. My buddy has a company out there called Eco Plumbing.
Okay.
And big plumbing company. I don't know if it's in that. I don't think it's there exactly, but
sounds very familiar.
We'll have to connect. We might have to get Tommy out to our event that we can't talk about just yet, but I think he'd love it. Number one,
that would be huge,
and I think he'd enjoy maybe sharing a little bit of his success story at that event as well. So, Chuck, thanks a lot today. Good to have you on board.
Thanks, Chuck. Nice to meet you.
You too, Tommy. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, Tommy, let's talk about those businesses, because this seems to be a running theme for you. You just talked about guys having commercial and residential and new construction, and like, why are you doing all that? I had that realization in my own company. We did everything. We did roofing, siding, gutters, windows, air conditioners, paint inside the house, fixed sheetrock, you name it. If it was something that had to do with the construction of the home without the actual framework, we did it. And we started to realize we were losing money on a lot of these things just to get the rest of the job. And so we decided, hey, we're going to get perfect at what we're great at first. And so we got perfect at roofing, we got perfect at siding, got perfect at gutters, and kept it there. Didn't do anything further than that. And we always were worried about a homeowner not wanting to work with us because we didn't do all the other stuff they needed done.
Sure.
Have you ever run into that with your company and these other companies that you've owned?
Not necessarily afraid of a customer wanting a one-stop shop, because I always say one-stop shops are usually a jack of all trades, a master of nothing. So I think for me, what I found was the best reason to do a lot of trades is because you own the customer and you keep an eye on it in your backyard. So like Parker and Sons does HVAC, plumbing, electrical. A lot of companies do. And they've got seasonal businesses, so it makes sense. But personally, I decided to take one thing and spread it and master it across the country. We're in 15 states. So I think, but the other businesses, I got to tell you, they all were home runs. I mean, the theory of the business was like, we can make a lot of money doing this. But I love what Steve Jobs said, and this is right before he passed away. He said, Apple's ability to grow was not because of the success we had. It was our ability to say no. It was, we had a vision and a mission that we stuck to, and we said no to a lot of things. And that's what made us successful, is the ability to say no. And I really take that as one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard. Is I've read The One Thing by Gary Keller, and there's another book called Essentialism. And really it's I used to say, I'll put my eggs in a lot of baskets and just in case one falls. And one day my buddy told me, he goes, Tommy, can you imagine if you put all your eggs in one basket, how quick that basket would overflow? And he wasn't kidding. And I mean, I've made the business to the size now that there's always something new. It's still fun. It's always, I feel like it's the first day of work every day. And I don't even feel like it's work. It's like some people love, like we talked about Harley. Some people love boats. I love golf. I love darts. I love bowling. But I absolutely am just love with business. And I could talk all day about this stuff. And that's the excitement.
I was just about to ask you, what do you think your number one trait is that has made you as successful as you are?
I thought a lot about this over the last year, and I think the number one trait right now is the ability to be the dumbest guy in the room. It's the ability to always ask questions and fly out and see people and come with questions. And literally, it's the ability to always be a student. It's I can't get enough of these books. I just keep reading and reading and reading. And Audible, I'm up to almost 1,000 books on Audible, and I haven't read them all by any means. But that is the number one thing. It's getting introduced to people, and it's literally genuinely doing whatever I can to extract things, but it's not necessarily always for my own good. I'm always curious to introduce other people too, if I feel like it's a good fit. So the ability to network and learn is, I think, probably the best trait I'll ever have.
Okay. So one of the things I noticed about you, like, and I noticed this when I was on your podcast, man, you bring the heat and the energy. Are you like this all the time, or are you just like this on the show?
Most of my employees, we're up to 350 people here. I bring the life to the meetings. I literally get on the meetings, and I think Adam, one of my general manager, my COO, he goes, Vegas is killing it. And you know what? We parted ways with the manager there. And I happened to listen to a couple of his meetings because they're recorded in the last 6 months. And I'm telling you, they're 4 minutes. We have a morning mojo call every morning, and their meetings were so bad. And I get on there and I'm like, guys, let's talk about the big wins today. Let's talk about really, like, I get excited, but it's like, I feel like the leaders need to be entertaining. They need to be funny, but they need to be charismatic, and they need to have passion. And if they don't have passion, it's the one missing ingredient, I think, from a lot of companies. And, you look at great leaders, and passion is the key element there. Is just get excited, and these guys, I got to tell you, in a way, I had people walk through this very office when COVID happened, and they said, hey, I'd like a pay deduction, and I want to volunteer all my sick days to someone who needs them. I want to do this because I care about the company so much that I know we're going through a tough time. And March was tough, but it's not like we were going out of business or anything like that. But we didn't know there was going to be tanks in the middle of the road. We didn't know what was going to happen. That was way before the PPP even existed. So it just meant a lot to me that there was a lineup of people saying, we've talked and we're ready to do whatever it takes to make sure this company lives on. And they're like, I made a joke to Adam. I said, maybe I'll be back out there running jobs, but that was not even plausible, but we never told anybody. We communicated every single day with the entire staff to let them know that the worst thing in my life ever was on a plane when there was more turbulence than ever. And oh man, it felt like we were just flying down stairs, shuttles of stairs, and the things are fluttering. The masks came out, and this lady screaming, and the ladies on the ground holding the cart. The drinks flew in the air, and I'm going, okay. I mean, I started meditating and praying, but I just remember that the pilot didn't come on for like 15 minutes, and he said, "Well, not a lot of turbulence, guys. We're safe now. Steady course. We'll be landing in about 30." And I'm like, we're the pilot as the owner. We just got to communicate. Even we're going to hit turbulence a lot, but the main thing is that everybody knows we're okay. We're safe. The plane is built for this. We're going to go through these patches. But I think the worst thing in the world as being a passenger was just not knowing what the hell's going on. And the trusted leader failed to educate us at that time.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I had a coaching call this morning with one of my longstanding clients, and he's talking about lowering his goal. He was worried about putting too much pressure on his people and achieving and it's an extensive. He's going from 7 million to 25 million as the goal. And I started digging in on why do you feel like that? And he's looking at numbers, but he's looking at the wrong numbers. He's looking at the end number going, hey, those numbers aren't where they need to be right now. He's not looking at the upfront numbers going, hey, what we thought was going to work theoretically is actually working. The pipeline's filling up. It's just delayed because of weather and stuff like that. He's in Chicago. And so he was going to go bring the number down, settle everybody down, calm everybody down.
No.
And I'm like, hold on. No. Let's not go there. Let's go communicate and show what's going really well. Like, this is about to really happen and really come true. All this stuff that you thought was going to happen, and you can show it in actual tangible numbers. All it is now is people. It's just putting people in the equation. And he goes, I've never really looked at my numbers that way. And I said, you got to communicate that. That's what he was having a hard time with, was this communication aspect. Because if you don't believe it's going to happen, nobody else is going to believe it's going to happen. And it's turbulence right now because they're growing and they're expanding and adding all kinds of new stuff to what they're doing. Very turbulent, very scary, very fearful. And he's not communicating. So that was my coaching advice. Like, hey, you got to go communicate with these guys. Keep the eye on the ball with where you're going. So yeah, man, that's great advice. So
can I add one thing to that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a meeting Friday. We have a financial quick check where my top 6 guys know exactly what's in the bank account, our accounts receivable, every little detail we have. It's about an hour-long meeting. And, these guys talked to me, and they obviously had a meeting together without me, and they said, hey, we really feel a lot of pressure. We're running at the speed of light. The candles are burning on both ends, and you're bringing on more projects. And I said, okay. And they said, well, we don't know what's the priorities. And I said, make a list of everything you're working on first. Then I want you to do how much time you're going to need to put into it with the result of what's going to happen. And we want to measure these first and the biggest ones that'll make the biggest opportunities, whether it be revenue or profit, come first. And I said, then I want to know if it could be delegated. And it sounds like a lot of them can't be delegated. And right there is a huge problem. So first of all, we got to solve the problem of why we can't delegate it to someone else, because there's no depth. We built a depth chart to be able to handle things like this. And one of the managers goes, well, I'm just so much faster at this. And I go, well, you're faster at your daughter's homework too. Do you do her homework? Never ever use the fact that you're better than somebody at something. No one will be to the level you are most of the time if you're the owner. And I just, oh man. And you should have seen, these guys are emailing me all weekend. They're coming into work on the weekend. I was here. 3 of them were here on Sunday. And I was like, holy cow, these guys. And literally they built the list. And I said, okay, let's just really go through you guys did amazing work. Let's go through these and let's prioritize. Let's get it done though. And I got to solve the problem of why it can't be delegated. And if you look at someone's day, most of the time what you'll realize is there's only probably 20% or less of the day that actually is getting really, it was a conversation that got a lot done, or it was the one big thing they had to get done for the day. There's so much time filled up with operational crap. And I just told somebody earlier, I'm like, very little of my day is filled with anything that's not on the business. Very little of it. I'll take a phone call from an old customer because I'm catching up with them and they help make me who I am. And I enjoy that. I'm a person. I have feelings and I want to catch up. I'm nostalgic, but at the end of the day, I try to focus 100% on the business and how this thing's going to be a multi-billion-dollar business. And I say billion because it used to be 100 million and now we're going to hit that. And unfortunately, I don't know when I tell my mom's like, when's enough? I'm like, Mom, I'm just getting started. I don't know. I'm like, I'm sorry, but it's too easy. It keeps getting easier every day. Every minute, it seems like it just gets easier. And I don't know when to stop, because if I win the 100-yard dash, Mom, you remember when I was in track and field, I went and I tried to beat my own record. Remember that? And I'm going to continue to better my best. And now I'm not even in a competition with anybody. Now I just got to look down at our own KPIs and beat those. So I just think that a lot of time we get stuck in this rut of going, man, we're way too swamped. And I'm going, show me your activity log on a day. Show me what got distracted from what you needed to do, because you're a firefighter. And no longer, we're not a firefighter. We're going to fix the process. And if we fix the process every single time, you're going to get bored and you're going to find more things to do. Your job's not going away. If you teach somebody else how to do that, you think it's job security. And literally I told him to go read Built to Last by Jim Collins.
Jim Collins.
And he goes, well, I already read it. And I'm like, I know, but I want you to reread it and study Jack Welch and how he succession planned and how he was able to give somebody more than he gave them, a better opportunity of success when he left. That takes a lot of, get your pride out of the equation of that you're better. Oh, I can type faster. I'm the fastest typer. I need to do it. Really?
It was one of the things I connected with you on right away was like, I like to be the dumbest guy in the room. I like to be the dumbest guy working at my office. I got some amazing people. We just had Chuck in here. I've got a finance coach that's off the charts. We've got an HR coach that's amazing. We've got amazing people working here that have taken this so much further than where I could have taken it on my own. I'm just the guy holding the rudder right now and trying to keep it on course towards where I can see what we're going to be at some point. I want to come back in just a second. I got to play a word from a sponsor and all that good stuff.
I got another hour or whatever you need.
And I want to ask you, because you keep mentioning metrics and measurement and stuff like that. I want to ask you a little bit about that. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
You're not using Hill Trace. It's definitely worth the money. That money invested was one sale was already bought. We've got from denied or declined 2 eggs would be in box just because of hail trace and storm reports that they give us.
Not only do I know where the storm's at, sometimes as they're happening, and I can already head right there to the storm, but also after the fact, when I'm out knocking on doors, I can show homeowners the map and what kind of hail was in their area.
We've seen a huge return on our investment, and I have no doubt that you will too.
So a little message from one of our great sponsors, Hail Trace, led by great leadership. Derek Klein, amazing guy. I think you guys would actually get along quite well with how he approaches business too. But, Tommy, you've mentioned a lot about measurement, about assessment and prioritization, and it's like you take a very analytical look at your business. Would that be a false statement?
No, that's all I do. It's not emotional. If you end up losing a job for me, and you don't lose a job, you just get an opportunity to work for one of my competitors. But if that happens, the data was the one that told me to do it. It was literally a lack of your buy-in, because I'll give you every opportunity in the world. If you got a will, I'll find a way. But yeah, I'm a data guy. The data, the KPIs are what lead me into the decision making.
So let's talk about some of that data. What do you think? We got a lot of guys on here that are contractors. They're probably in that less than $1 million to trying to get to 10 million type of situation. I would say most guys. And I think that describes the contractors in general, especially in home services. If you were going to tell them 3 key performance indicators, KPIs, these numbers that you need to know in order to grow your business further, what would those 3 things, like if you only could track 3?
Well, there's 4.
Okay, 4.
I'll give you 4. So write down, if you want to do $10 million, you write down 10 million. Then you write down your average ticket. Let's say it's $1,000. So you need to know your average ticket. Then you need to know your face-to-face conversion rate. So we'll say that's 70%, but its conversion rate is when you're at the home knocking on the door, are you converting that into a sale? Then you need to know your booking rate. And most people, believe it or not, are under 50%, but we'll just say 60. And then you need to know your cost per acquisition. So how much does it cost you to acquire a customer? We'll just say $100. What's nice about this is if you take that 10 million and you got 1,000, you're going to need 1,000 jobs, or 10,000 jobs, get you to 10 million. And then you divide that by the conversion rate of 70, then divide that by the booking rate. It'll tell you how many jobs you need. And then you times that by 100. But what's beautiful about these metrics is if you get your booking rate up 20%, and you make 5% more conversion rate, and you get that acquisition cost $40 cheaper, and you get your average ticket up a little bit, you could do quantum leaps in your business. Quantum leaps. When you don't know those numbers, it's like the blind leading the blind. There's this old show. It's they're blind. It's Richard Pryor and See No Evil, Hear No Evil from the 70s, I think.
Yeah, Gene Wilder.
Yeah. And literally, I feel like that's most people's businesses. It's like they're successful, but they don't know how. And then I will say this, and then learn to read your income statement and balance sheet and study it and say year after year, are your costs going up? Are your cost of goods going up because of material costs? If they are, raise your prices, because you never raise your prices. And then the other thing I'd say is make sure you're having performance pay. Every single person in my company, for the most part, is on performance pay. And that's a huge advantage, because when they win, I win. When somebody books 40 calls a day, they make $300 that day. They make around $35 an hour, my top people but the deal is they can't wait for the phone to ring. They're booking more than anybody. Most human beings couldn't imagine booking 50 calls in a day. I've got people that can do it because they're aggressive, and I've got a weighted round robin. I've got 4,200 call tracking numbers.
Wow. That is so these call tracking numbers, they're tied to all your marketing?
Every single zone in Valpak or Clipper or You and Your Home or Welcome Home, each zone is custom made for that area of town. And it's got a little welcome to Sun City, something that looks familiar to look like a local business, and never have a 623-480-602. Have the one number in that area that's prevalent. If you got 5 numbers, you look like this huge monster company, and people want to support their local community. Put one number in that area. So yeah, we're able to track things. And what's nice about my tracking is I'm able to make deals with people on performance pay. So I could get in a lot of ads and say, look, I'll give you 15% of everything we convert. And a lot of times I like that to be a lot of money, because then they put me in more and more coverage of, let's say, a newspaper or a magazine.
That's interesting. So everybody's on performance pay. Results get paid more, no results get paid less, which is, I think, the way the world should work, to be honest with you. I think everybody should be on performance pay, including government workers. But
I do too. Don't even get me started with that.
Yeah, I'll get in trouble for that one. So coming back to the prioritization of stuff, we use this thing, we call it the action matrix. You ever hear of this?
Yeah.
And so it helps me kind of identify the quick wins. Do you do anything like that? Like this idea of, hey, there's all these things we can do. And I know this one's a big one, right? Like it's big, but it's going to take a long time. This other one might not be as big, but it's going to have a really big impact. And it's a quick way I can do it right away and just get it done. And it'll have a quicker effect on the bottom line. Do you approach things like that whenever you prioritize?
I do. And then I really am I really do a lot of that. And then I really try to do as much delegation as possible. And what I find is if I can't delegate, I think that's a huge hole in a lot of businesses. And every time I hire somebody and catch them up, it's such a huge advantage. It allows so much scalability. So if I can't delegate, I got to find someone I can delegate and get them trained, because my time, I'm hiring an assistant for my assistant, and people think I'm nuts. And I'm like, no, it's going to bring $30,000 more per month, and it's going to give me back 15 hours a week. They're going to start attending my meetings that I don't need to be at. They're going to start taking notes and minutes at different minutes at meetings. They're going to start prioritizing. They do all of my email. They're soon going to be taking a lot of my calls, and my 15 hours are going to go straight into reading. Believe it or not, there's no other things. I just want 15 hours a week to read. So I'm not putting anything else. I'm not trying to double my production, anything like that. I'm just going to delegate more. And I figured out, I divided my hours, and I'm friendly to myself, 50 hours a week, 50 weeks out of the year. I divided that into how much profit we made as a company. And when I realized how much my hourly rate is, I said, I shouldn't be doing anything. I need to get rid of all of it if I can.
So it's funny that you say that, because I did the same thing. I don't think a lot of people do that exercise. Like, how much money comes into the business based on the hours that you work profit-wise, right? And then once you figure out what that number is like, hey, if I can get people doing these other things, what more could that bring into the company? Because now I can focus even further and farther. Like, you're in this position now where your business is getting focused on more acquisition. Is that a fair statement?
We're going to be really focused on acquisitions. And I'll tell you one thing, this is the most beautiful thing in the world. And it's so sexy, this word. It's the best, sexiest word in the human dictionary. It's called arbitrage. And what it does is I could buy a business at 5 or 6 times EBITDA, which is just a fancy word for profit. And there's some ad backs in there. And then I'm worth 18. So the day I buy it and implement my systems, if I paid $1 million for it, I'm worth $3 million. And that's at a 6 times, which I could get companies much cheaper than that. So it's literally when I learned about it and I became obsessed with this word arbitrage. And now I'm like, wait a minute, if I go buy 100 companies doing 300,000 and bring them to $1 million and I get a 20 times multiple, that's $2 billion. Oh
yeah.
And I just bought it for a few $100 million, less than that even. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't seem legal. It's better than selling drugs. It's better than selling high-end luxury cars. There's nothing you can make more money than arbitrage. And it's the secretest thing. It's like there's a secret society that doesn't talk about it.
Yeah, it's not a word you hear often. So you have gone full spectrum, right? Like the one thing you were talking about that I think is really hard for people, especially when they're small, like they're just starting out, or maybe they've been in business for a while, they're making that first step to scale. They got to delegate something to somebody. And they struggle with that first delegation because who do I get? When do I get them? And all of these things.
Or it won't be as good as me. It won't. Hey, if you want to get it done, you got to do it yourself, right? That's the mentality. And they don't take that. They say, you idiot, you didn't do it right. You're the idiot, though. The owners are the idiots that didn't train right. They said, copy me, look at me. You cut the bush like this. And what if I told you people learn in different ways? Some people listen through their ears. Some people like to watch. Some people like to repeat. And the idiots are the people that say, if somebody doesn't understand, you need to take complete accountability that you're a failure as an owner.
I am 100% on board with that. Usually, if there's a fault within your business, the first place you should look is in the mirror. It's just,
preach it.
Like you're the owner. You're the one that's responsible for everything that goes on in that business. And if something's not going right, people aren't following you, people aren't learning what you want them to learn, people aren't doing what you want them to do, first person to look at is in the mirror, because you haven't learned a skill that's important to you leading those folks. I think that's great, Tommy. That's amazing. I got 3 more questions for you. You got time?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're all good.
I ask these 3 questions every time I meet with somebody. So I don't know if you listen to podcasts and might get a heads up, but probably not. I don't know. To date, what is your greatest achievement that isn't getting married or having kids?
I'm getting married, not having kids.
We all know that's our greatest achievement.
Yeah, no. I think it's probably not a work thing. I really enjoy the fact that I'm able to do. My plan was always to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, and I'm pretty much to that point right now in my life to where if I want to take some buddies and pick them up, put them on my shoulders, and we're going to Hawaii, I could do that. So there have been trips and opportunities like that. And I'd say that's the proudest thing is I've always said, I'm never going to let money and really time be in the way of things that I want to do. And I think I finally hit that point in my life in the last year.
That's pretty cool. That's one I haven't heard before. And I think that's what we're all kind of chasing, that freedom, right? A freedom to do what we want, when we want, with who we want. That's super cool. That's actually part of our, like what we talk about in our marketing. We help people get control so they can grow their business and get personal financial freedom. That's pretty cool. Okay. Second question, best advice you've ever gotten from a mentor.
Okay. 2 things. One of them sitting right in front of me, so I'm going to show you that one. But the biggest thing is, and I picked this up along the way and modified it a little bit, but get out of your comfort zone. Travel somewhere across state lines at the bare minimum and go to a place that you want to become. Hopefully it's in somewhat of the same industry, but not a direct competitor. And come with a notebook filled with 1,000 questions and be ready to observe. And just when you breathe the air, get into the climate, get the dream that became your vision and put parameters around it and know what your goals are. If you could sit there, all you got to do is replicate what you're in. And I'm telling you, the air, it's different. The air the water tastes different. Everything there is fun. It's exciting. You're watching people and they're wanting to work. They're building something. And get that picture of what it looks like. And then go home and recreate it. And cheat. I call it cheating because you go there and you find out exactly what you need to do. Then you go home and you build it. And it's almost like you're copycatting, but you're doing it from the best. These guys have spent years, sometimes decades, learning these things. And I think that's probably the best advice you could get is seeing it done. But there's something about just, it's the oxygen. It's like when you walk in, you just are like, whoa, what's going on there? And it's fun.
I might take you up on that, but I hadn't heard that one before. That's a new piece of advice that I got today. Now, I'm that type of person. I read, I engage in coaches and stuff like that. But I'm going to go find a coaching company that I admire, and I'm going to go walk in their door.
Do that, and then read this book. I had a mentor the other day tell me to read this.
Mm-hmm.
Double Your Profits in 6 months or less. It came out in 1995. The guy just sold a private equity. He's $300 million. He said, this is the book that saved his business and made it so valuable. And I read this book, Double Your Profits in 6 months or less. And this is just 2 weeks ago. And I'm telling you, it's going to literally bring 6 or 7% of the bottom line.
Awesome.
So
okay.
That was a quick one.
So last question, got to make it quick. I got to run for a coaching appointment, but I want to make sure I get this one in. We only have so long to live. We got this time that's on this planet, very short period of time in the big scheme of things. We're all going to pass. And on that day, people are going to come celebrate us. How do you want them to remember you? What do you want them to say about you on that day?
I would want them to say that I was a friend, I was a mentor, but I brought the fire every time. That you knew when you were in the same room as me, and that that I had a passion for life, and that I get goosebumps thinking about it, but that I enjoyed my life and that I lived life to the fullest, and to be around me what was enrich their lives as well. So hopefully that's what they say.
Tommy, you brought the fire today, man. Great podcast. Thanks for being on today. I wish we had more time. I could talk to you.
Yeah, this is great, man. You got to go to coaching call. I got to jump on a call. Listen, let's touch base. I'd love to come out and meet with you, and you're more than welcome to come to Phoenix anytime. But let's give me a buzz. I got your cell phone. I'll give you a text message.
Sounds great, Tommy. Thanks for being on today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right, bye. All right, one last word from our sponsors, and we will catch you guys later.
Want more 5-star reviews from your customers? At Signpost, we make it easy for your customers to give you great reviews on Google, Facebook, Yelp, and more. Our software connects with industry-specific solutions, driving even more reviews from your customers. Drive loyalty and repeat business by sending the right messages at the right times to your prospects and customers. Message your contacts from anywhere, anytime, using text, photos, and video all in one app. Check on progress with campaigns and review generation across Google, Facebook, and Yelp. Visit signpost.com and get your demo today.